Not all pets are as trustworthy as they seem, and these terrifying cases make that very clear. From exotic creatures to common household animals, these incidents left everyone in shock. What could have driven these animals to commit such horrific acts? And could it happen again? It sounds like something out of a horror movie, a massive snake slithering into a little girl's bed in the middle of the night. But this actually happened, and the outcome was tragic. Join us as we uncover the disturbing truth behind it all, from the man who was torn apart by his monitor lizards to the tragedy involving a pet crocodile in 14 pets that ate their owners. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Terry Vance Garner and the pigs. In 2012, Terry Vance Garner, a 69-year-old farmer from Coos County, Oregon, met a tragic end while caring for his animals. Garner had a deep bond with his pigs, especially the adults, and a wild boar named Teddy. He never returned after feeding them on a Wednesday. When his family went to search for him, they found pieces of his body near the pig pen. The rest of his remains had been consumed by the pigs, each weighing around 700 pounds. Authorities speculated that the pigs may have knocked Garner down and after he fell, attacked him. There was also the possibility that Garner had suffered a medical emergency, such as a heart attack, which caused him to collapse. Despite an initial investigation, the exact cause of death remained uncertain, though the pathologist's report was sent to the University of Oregon for further analysis. Terry Garner was remembered as a kind and caring man who dedicated much of his life to the animals on his farm. His brother Michael recalled that the farm was a refuge for Terry, a Vietnam War veteran who struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder. Despite the risks of working with such large animals, Garner's deep affection for them kept him doing his work. This story, like many others, serves as a tragic reminder of how even the most familiar animals can become dangerous under the right circumstances. Number 2. Brent Kandra and the bear attack. On August 19, 2010, Brent Kandra, a 24-year-old caregiver at the Sam Mazzola Exotic Animal Sanctuary in Columbia Station, Ohio, was fatally attacked by a bear. Brandon, the sanctuary's owner, Sam Mazzola, had developed a close relationship with Bart, who was accustomed to human interaction. Among all the animals we have here, he was part of our family. On this particular day, the bear was released from its cage, a routine practice at the sanctuary, but something triggered the animal's aggression. Bart suddenly attacked Brent, inflicting severe injuries that led to his death the following day at a Cleveland hospital. Sam Mazzola, known for organizing controversial bear fight events, had already faced legal issues related to the treatment of exotic animals. Despite having his license revoked, Mazzola continued to keep dangerous animals, including bears, tigers, and wolves, on his property. After the attack, Bart was euthanized at the request of Brent's family. Brent's father had warned him about the risks of working with wild animals, but Brent's lifelong passion for animals kept him at the sanctuary. This tragic incident highlights the risks involved in interacting with wild animals, even when familiarity and trust seem to exist. Number 3. Marius Els and his deadly hippopotamus. In 2011, Marius Els, a farmer from South Africa, tragically lost his life to his pet hippopotamus, Humphrey, a 1,200-kilogram animal he had raised since childhood. To Marius, Humphrey was not just a wild animal, he was part of the family. After rescuing the young hippopotamus from a flood, Marius formed an extraordinary bond with the animal. They became local celebrities, with Marius frequently showcasing their connection in photos and videos where he rode on Humphrey's back. Despite warnings from neighbors and wildlife experts about the dangers of keeping such a powerful animal, Marius believed his bond with Humphrey made him harmless. However, the hippopotamus had already shown signs of aggression before, chasing golfers, threatening canoeists, and even attacking the farm's cattle. But Marius ignored these concerns. On a tragic November night, Humphrey's wild instinct surfaced, and he attacked Marius, biting him and dragging him into the river near the farm. When paramedics arrived, it was too late to save him. This tragedy serves as a warning about the limits of domestication and the unpredictable nature of wild animals, even when raised with care. Number 4. Sandra Piasen and the fatal wolf attack. In 2006, Sandra Piasen, a 50-year-old woman from Salem Township, Pennsylvania, was tragically killed by the hybrid wolves she had kept as pets for over 10 years. Sandra had a deep love for wolves and had raised a pack of 9 hybrid animals, part wolf, part domestic dog. inside an electrified enclosure on her property. She considered herself the leader of the pack and often spoke about her spiritual connection with the animals. The fatal incident occurred while Sandra was caring for the wolves. Her daughter found her body inside the enclosure, and the autopsy revealed that Sandra died from excessive blood loss caused by the severe injuries inflicted by the wolves. The attack, though sudden, was not entirely unexpected. The wolves had already displayed aggressive behavior in the past, even attacking a friend of Sandra's 2 years earlier. Animal welfare experts had warned Sandra about the dangers of keeping hybrid wolves, emphasizing that they were even more unpredictable than wild wolves, which typically fear humans. After the tragedy, the remaining 8 wolves were euthanized to ensure the safety of the authorities who needed to recover her body. This devastating story highlights the risks inherent in raising such powerful animals. Number 5. Charla Nash and the chimpanzee attack. On February 16, 2009, Charla Nash's life changed forever after a horrific attack by Travis, a pet chimpanzee weighing around 90 kilograms. Travis, owned by Charla's friend Sandra Harold in Stamford, Connecticut, had a peculiar life, being raised like a human child. He was somewhat of a local celebrity, having appeared in commercials and even eating sophisticated dishes like steak and lobster. Charla, who had a close relationship with Sandra and often helped her with daily tasks, was called to the house when Travis started acting agitated. Unfortunately, as she approached the chimpanzee, he perceived her actions as a threat and attacked her brutally. The animal shredded her face and hands in such a violent assault that Sandra, in desperation, tried to intervene by stabbing Travis to stop him. The police arrived shortly after, and when Travis charged at them, they were forced to shoot and kill him. Charla's injuries were catastrophic. She lost her face, eyes, nose, lips, and hands. Despite undergoing a face transplant in 2011, Charla became an advocate for stricter laws on exotic animal ownership, warning others about the dangers of keeping such unpredictable creatures. This tragic event sparked legal and ethical debates about the safety of owning wild animals, even when they seem domesticated. Leaving this devastating chimpanzee attack, let's now move on to a terrifying encounter involving wolves. Number 6. Andre Lamoga and his starving dogs. In a terrifying case that occurred in Sulawesi, Indonesia, a man named Andre Lamoga went on vacation, leaving 7 of his dogs without food and water for 2 weeks. Upon his return, Lamoga encountered a horrific scene. His starving dogs, desperate for food, attacked and killed him. They devoured his body, leaving only his skull behind. Lamoga's death might have gone unnoticed if not for a neighborhood guard who became suspicious after noticing his absence and the fact that his luggage was left outside the house. The guard also noticed a strong smell emanating from the residence and called the police. When authorities entered the house, they found Lamoga's skull in the kitchen and his body near the entrance. It was also revealed that during the 2 weeks of the owner's absence, the dogs had killed and eaten 2 other dogs, making the case even more macabre. The tragedy of Lamoga has its roots in his cultural context, coming from Sulawesi, where dog meat is part of the local diet. However, ironically, it was the animals he raised as pets that ended up causing his death. This heartbreaking story highlights the dangers of neglecting animals, especially those that can turn against their owners in extreme situations. The case gained significant media attention and raised awareness about the risks of leaving animals without proper care, particularly in vulnerable situations where their access to food and water is restricted for long periods. Many experts pointed out that hunger can lead to unpredictable and aggressive behavior in animals, especially in those who are normally well-fed and domesticated. Dogs, in particular, have strong predatory instincts, and in moments of desperation, they may resort to extreme measures, including cannibalism, as seen in this case. Animal behavior specialists observed that while pet dogs are generally loyal and friendly, their survival instincts can override their usual behavior in life-threatening situations. Lamoga's dogs were likely accustomed to his presence and care, but after days without food, desperation may have driven them to attack him. It is important to note that this tragic outcome was not an intentional act of aggression, but rather a consequence of severe neglect and extreme hunger. In addition to Lamoga's death, this incident also brought attention to animal welfare issues in the region. Many residents of Sulawesi and other parts of Indonesia often leave their animals unattended during trips or holidays. However, experts warn that leaving animals without care for long periods can have disastrous consequences. This tragedy highlighted the need for stricter regulations on the treatment of animals, including requirements for owners to provide adequate care in their absence, as well as increased education on the responsibility of owning a pet. Moreover, Lamoga's death underscored the growing concern for animal welfare in Indonesia, where the conditions of both street and domestic animals are often poor. Animal rights groups continue to push for stricter animal protection laws and greater support for pet owners to ensure the well-being of their pets. This story, as tragic as it is, serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of neglecting the responsibility of caring for pets and the severe impact this can have on both humans and the animals themselves. Number 7. Marvin House and the deadly cassowary. In 2019, a tragedy occurred in Florida when 75-year-old Marvin House was fatally injured by one of his pet cassowaries, large flightless birds native to Australia and New Guinea. House, a breeder of these birds on his private property, was attacked after supposedly falling near one of the cassowaries. Though the attack was not considered intentional, it resulted in fatal injuries, and House was later declared dead at the hospital. Cassowaries, often referred to as the most dangerous bird in the world, are known for their aggressive nature. These birds can stand up to 1.80 meters tall and weigh around 60 kilograms. They possess extremely powerful legs and large, sharp talons capable of inflicting severe, even fatal wounds. Their talons can grow up to 12 centimeters in length, allowing them to deliver devastating kicks. In the wild, cassowaries use their talons to defend themselves from predators and compete for territory, but their aggression can also be directed toward humans, especially when they feel threatened or cornered. Attacks on humans are rare, but they can be fatal when they occur. House's death serves as a grim reminder of the dangers associated with owning such a powerful and unpredictable creature. Cassowaries are not domesticated animals, and their territorial instincts can make them highly dangerous, especially if confined to a small area or not accustomed to human interaction. In the wild, cassowaries are solitary and reclusive, often avoiding contact with humans. However, in captivity, their behavior can become more unstable and difficult to predict. Exotic animal collectors in the United States seek out cassowaries, but the risks involved in keeping these birds are significant. Many states have laws regulating the ownership of such dangerous animals, although the rules vary. Some states require permits to own cassowaries, while others restrict or completely ban their ownership. Even in states where ownership is legal, it is essential to take proper precautions to ensure the safety of both the animal and humans. Cassowaries are often kept in large enclosures with strong fences to prevent escapes and minimize human contact. After the incident, the cassowary was contained on a private property, but no immediate decision was made regarding its future. The attack raised serious concerns about the ethical implications of keeping dangerous animals as pets and the responsibilities of owners to ensure the safety of themselves and others. The case sparked new discussions about regulating exotic pet ownership and the need for stricter guidelines for breeding and maintaining these species. The tragic death of Marvin House underscores the importance of understanding the natural behavior of animals and the potential risks of keeping wild creatures in a domestic setting. It also highlights the need for proper education and training for those who choose to care for exotic animals, as well as the importance of following safety protocols to minimize the dangers they may pose. Following the incident, animal welfare advocates called for more comprehensive laws and regulations to protect both humans and animals, emphasizing that the well-being of the creatures should also be considered when owning exotic pets. Number 8. The Tragedy of the Camel, Pam Weaver's Fatal Encounter. In 2007, a shocking tragedy occurred in New South Wales, Australia, when Pam Weaver, an animal lover, lost her life in a violent incident with a camel she had received as a birthday gift. The animal, which was supposed to bring joy and excitement to her life, ended up being the cause of her premature death. Pam had always had a strong connection with animals and believed that the camel, though exotic, could be a great companion. Pam, who had developed a strong bond with the camel, was spending time in her yard when the animal, once docile, suddenly became aggressive. This wasn't uncommon in large animals, especially in situations where external factors, such as changes in the environment or diet, could alter their behavior. The camel knocked her to the ground and crushed her with its massive weight. The pressure from the camel's body was so intense that Pam sustained severe injuries, particularly in the chest and abdomen. Although she was rushed to the hospital, Pam did not survive the injuries and passed away from the trauma. The camel had been part of her life for some time, but despite being domesticated, large animals like camels can still exhibit unpredictable behavior, especially in stressful situations. The territorial and defensive nature of camels, well known to those who work with them, can be exacerbated by factors such as extreme heat, lack of food, or even changes in the environment. It is believed that the attack may have been triggered by some form of stress or confusion, though the exact cause remains unclear. Some experts suggest that the camel may have reacted aggressively to Pam's proximity, feeling threatened or disturbed. Pam's tragic death caused a great deal of grief among her family, friends, and the local community, sparking debates about the dangers of keeping large exotic animals as pets. The loss of a human life raised questions about the need for stricter safety measures when it comes to owning wild animals. The connection between animals and their wild instincts is undeniable. This incident highlights how domesticated creatures can still carry unpredictable instincts that can lead to disastrous consequences. For Pam, this bond with an apparently docile animal was fatal. Now let's turn our attention to another unexpected tragedy, this time involving one of the most dangerous birds in the world. Number 9. Paul MacDonald and his pet deer. In 2019, a tragic accident occurred in Australia when Paul MacDonald, a farmer, was killed by a hybrid deer known as wapiti, raised on his farm. The wapiti, a mix between a red deer and an elk, had been calm and docile for years, living peacefully with Paul and his family. However, during the breeding season, when males experience an increase in testosterone levels, the animal unexpectedly became aggressive, which is a common trait among deer during rutting. The sudden change in behavior was due to hormonal fluctuations that intensified territoriality and defensiveness in males. On the morning of the attack, Paul went to feed the wapiti without realizing the animal's change in behavior due to the rut. He had been accustomed to handling the deer, so he did not suspect it had become more dangerous. When his wife and son heard the commotion and rushed to help him, they found the situation out of control. The wapiti became even more violent, trying to defend itself from any sudden movement. Paul's wife attempted to intervene to calm the situation, but the animal injured her. The son ran to call for help, but tragically, Paul sustained fatal injuries in the attack. Despite the quick arrival of paramedics and police, Paul could not be saved. Resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful due to the severity of the injuries, and Paul passed away at the scene. The animal was euthanized to prevent further harm, and Paul's wife was taken to the hospital for several surgeries. Her recovery was long, but she eventually healed from her serious injuries. Research shows that hormonal changes during rut can make deer more aggressive, especially in hybrid species like the wapiti, which can display unpredictable behaviors, while castration and isolation from other deer can help prevent such violent outbursts. The combination of the wapiti's hormones and the breeding season led to this tragic and unexpected incident. The case highlighted the need for greater precautions when dealing with wild animals, even those raised in captivity for years. Number 10. Mark Vogel and his dangerous reptiles. In 2004, Mark Vogel, a 30-year-old man from Dortmund, Germany, met a tragic end in a bizarre accident involving his vast collection of exotic animals. Vogel was known for keeping over 200 spiders, reptiles, and other unusual creatures in his apartment, which resembled more of a jungle than a home. He dedicated much of his life to studying and managing these animals, being an enthusiast of exotic fauna. Among his pets were dangerous species, such as black widow spiders and venomous snakes, which he often handled without the necessary safety precautions. Unfortunately, one of these spiders bit Vogel, and the venom led to his premature death. The venom of a black widow can be fatal if untreated, especially when combined with other factors such as infections or allergic reactions. It is believed that the spider bite, along with complications caused by other creatures in the apartment, contributed to his death. Since he was accustomed to handling these species, authorities believe he may not have paid enough attention to the signs of poisoning until it was too late. When authorities arrived, they found Vogel's body surrounded by his exotic animals. Lizards and tarantulas were feeding on his remains. The scene was horrifying. Spiders were emerging from his nose and mouth, and the dimly lit apartment, filled with thousands of termites and other creatures, had a truly macabre atmosphere. The mix of odors and the stifling environment made the place even more desolate. "I saw the web and realized it was a black widow," said one of the investigators. This disturbing discovery served as a grim reminder of the dangers of keeping large collections of exotic animals, especially those that can be fatal with a simple miscalculation. While some may find it thrilling to have these pets, the risks can be deadly. The authorities, upon investigating the scene, emphasized the need for stricter regulations on the ownership of exotic animals in Germany, especially those with venomous or predatory traits. Number 11. Yam Mohammed and his pet monkey. In Malaysia, it is common for monkeys to be trained to help with coconut harvesting due to their exceptional climbing skills. They are often used on plantations and can learn to collect dozens of coconuts a day, making them a valuable asset for workers. This practice inspired 72-year-old Yam Mohammed to train his pet monkey to do the same. Since it was young, the animal showed intelligence and appeared obedient, which led Yam to fully trust its ability to assist in the harvest. However, what seemed like an innocent task ended in tragedy. The monkey, which Yam had raised for some time, unexpectedly attacked him while he was trying to complete the harvest. The exact reason for the attack was never clarified, but experts suggest that stress, fatigue, or even possible frustration from the animal could have contributed to the aggressive behavior. The attack started with a severe bite on Yam's wrist, cutting a major artery and causing him to bleed to death. He tried to push the animal away, but the severity of the wound made it impossible to stop the bleeding quickly. His son, Emir Zakaria Yam, rushed to the scene after hearing the commotion, but the monkey also attacked him, biting him on the neck. Despite the shock, Zakaria managed to escape and call for help before his condition became critical. Zakaria's screams alerted the neighbors, who quickly came to help. Upon arrival, they found a horrifying scene with Yam already dead and his son injured. The monkey, scared and aggressive, fled into the jungle, disappearing quickly into the dense vegetation. This complicated the authorities' response, who had to organize a search to locate the animal before it posed a threat to others. The authorities, including the Department of Wildlife and National Parks of Malaysia, began an operation to capture the animal. Specialized teams used nets and tranquilizer darts to ensure the capture occurred without further incidents. They were able to sedate the monkey days later, and due to its aggressive behavior, it was likely euthanized. Although some wildlife advocacy organizations suggested relocating it, the final decision was made that its unpredictability made reintegration into the wild or keeping it in captivity unfeasible. This tragic incident serves as a warning about the dangers of keeping wild animals as pets, even those that initially seem tame. Yam Mohammed's case demonstrated that, regardless of how long an animal has been domesticated, they still carry primitive instincts that can manifest unexpectedly. After the tragedy, there were various discussions in Malaysia about regulating the use of monkeys in coconut harvesting, highlighting the need for stricter safety measures to prevent future attacks. Number 12. Tragedy with a pet snake. In 2019, a horrifying event took place in Florida when a 2-year-old girl, Chayana Hare, was killed by the family's pet Burmese python named Gypsy. The 8.5-foot-long snake managed to escape from its enclosure, which had been inadequately secured with just a blanket instead of a proper lid. Despite showing signs of restlessness and previous escape attempts, containment measures were not reinforced, leading to a fatal mistake. During the night, Gypsy slithered into Chayana's crib and attacked her while she slept. The helpless child had no chance to react before the snake wrapped its powerful body around her. Burmese pythons, native to Southeast Asia, use a deadly hunting method. They kill by constriction, tightening their grip to suffocate their prey before swallowing it. This natural instinct proved fatal for little Chayana, who stood no chance against the massive reptile. When authorities arrived, the girl's body showed clear signs of the attack. According to first responders, the snake was still coiled around the child, indicating the attack had happened recently. The scene was horrifying for paramedics and police officers, who had to quickly contain Gypsy before it posed a threat to others. The tragedy shocked the local community, and the child's parents, Jiren Hare and her boyfriend Charles Darnell, faced severe criticism. Many questioned why such a large and potentially dangerous snake was kept in a home with a small child, especially without a secure enclosure. Despite owning Gypsy for years, they failed to provide a safe environment, even after witnessing the snake's previous escape attempts. The court found that the couple's negligence directly contributed to Chayana's death, and both were charged with manslaughter and child neglect. The incident reignited debates about the risks of keeping exotic animals as pets, particularly dangerous reptiles in homes with children. Experts have long warned that snakes like Burmese pythons are too unpredictable to be kept as pets, as their strength and natural instincts make them highly dangerous when not properly contained. The tragedy led to increased demands for stricter regulations on exotic pet ownership in Florida, particularly regarding secure, escape-proof enclosures. Additionally, new educational campaigns were launched to raise awareness about the risks and responsibilities of keeping these animals at home. Cheyenne Hare's case became a stark warning to many, reinforcing the importance of ensuring that wild animals are not treated as mere household pets without proper precautions. Number 13. Daituo and the crocodile tragedy. In January 2019, Daituo, head of a pearl farming laboratory in North Soloi, Indonesia, met a gruesome fate involving a crocodile named Mary. This 14.4-foot-long reptile was legally kept at the lab in an outdoor enclosure, which had already raised concerns about its presence. Some employees feared that the environment was not secure enough to contain such a powerful predator, but the animal remained on site as part of the laboratory's exotic attraction. It was reported that Dai was feeding Mary when she either slipped into the enclosure or was dragged in by the crocodile. The exact circumstances of the incident remain unclear, but witnesses speculated that an unexpected movement from the reptile may have contributed to the accident. Crocodiles are known for their ability to lunge using powerful tail strikes, which could have caused Dai to fall. Additionally, their incredible speed and strength make them lethal predators, capable of capturing prey in mere seconds. By the time her colleagues found her, it was too late. Mary had already begun attacking her, consuming part of her abdomen and one of her hands. The horrifying scene shocked the team, who could do little to stop the devastating attack. The event quickly spread through local media, sparking outrage and raising questions about the lack of safety measures in the enclosure. The tragedy alarmed local authorities and led to an investigation into the legality and safety of keeping such a dangerous animal in captivity. Debates arose over the need for stricter regulations regarding the ownership of crocodiles and other large predators, especially in locations without proper infrastructure. Many experts emphasized that crocodiles are highly instinctive predators and that their domestication or maintenance in non-specialized facilities can result in fatal tragedies. A coordinated operation involving police, military personnel, and wildlife agents was required to safely remove Mary. The crocodile was sedated and transferred to a wildlife rescue center, where it was contained for further care. Its relocation brought relief to many, but also raised concerns about how many other dangerous animals might be kept in similar conditions in the region. This tragic incident serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of keeping wild animals in captivity without proper safety precautions. Daituo's case highlighted the risks of treating predators as mere attractions while ignoring their true nature. The event reinforced the need for stricter protocols on crocodile captivity and led to a review of safety regulations for zoos and laboratories housing wild animals. Number 14. Ronald Huff's fatal encounter with his monitor lizards. In 2002, a devastating incident occurred in Delaware when Ronald Huff, a reptile enthusiast, was killed by his own pet monitor lizards. Huff, 42, had been caring for exotic animals for years, including several large monitor lizards. Fascinated by these reptiles, he dedicated much of his time to studying and tending to them, ensuring they had a proper environment and all necessary supplies for their upkeep. Tragically, his passion for reptiles ended in disaster when he was found dead in his home, surrounded by his own animals. The scene shocked authorities, who were unaccustomed to dealing with such an unusual case involving a fatal reptile attack. The cause of death was attributed to severe injuries inflicted by the very creatures he raised, specifically his monitor lizards. Their sharp claws and powerful bites were believed to be responsible for his lethal wounds. These reptiles, known for their impressive size and strength, are primarily found in Asia and Africa and can grow up to 10 feet long. Additionally, some species have saliva filled with harmful bacteria, which can cause severe infections in their prey. Although they are not typically hostile toward humans, monitor lizards remain wild animals with unpredictable behaviors, especially when they feel threatened or are in stressful situations. It is believed that the attack may have occurred after an altercation, possibly related to a feeding session. If one of these animals feels provoked or perceives its owner as a potential food source, the risk of an attack increases significantly. Event highlighted the dangers of keeping wild animals without proper training and safety measures. Experts warn that no matter how docile some animals may seem, their natural instincts can take over at any moment, making cohabitation dangerous. His death led to a reassessment of regulations in Delaware and other states regarding the ownership of dangerous exotic animals, sparking stricter discussions about the necessity of special permits and restrictions on keeping these reptiles outside of zoos and specialized facilities. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Don't forget to check out other interesting content appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.